Welcome back. Let's take a look at the 7 grievous things of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In an article that critiqued the success of the microfinance model in saving people from poverty, an article on Bloomberg examined how the excision of Smart Alex into that space has got more grief than good and exposed as false the idea that once poor people got more finance, they will be fine. This article has encouraged people to dig further into a nagging idea as to whether what our people need is financial inclusion or economic inclusion. The focus has always been on financial inclusion, by which we give more attention to banks under the pretext that too many Nigerians are unbanked. But perhaps we should be more concerned that too many of our people are excluded from the economy in the first place. They are lost, they have no skills worth selling, or are trapped by their environment. They wake up each morning not knowing where to go to earn something. The world feels hostile to them and they sink into despair. That is economic exclusion. Well, the third article is from Professor Francis Ogbimi. These articles are very important in setting the background at this point, which want to reiterate that Bola Ahmed Tinubu's quest for Nigeria's presidency. Let's take a look at anti-austerity and counter-cyclical policies. At least since the days of Dr. Mrs. Okonjo-Iweala as our coordinating minister, Tinubu has always advised against the adoption of austerity measures in the period of a recession. I will not quote his past speeches here because of length, but anyone who is interested can research and find out. Tinubu has always advised that contrary to the advice of multilateral agencies, Nigeria should not be shutting down government expenditure in times of downturn, because it further damages the system. Note that Nigeria has always been in economic turmoil since its independence. In fact, I agree with Tinubu when he stated in one of his speeches that Nigeria has always been struggling with economic depression actually. The symptoms are complete high unemployment, high poverty, high level of illiteracy, and high propensity. I think we need to be properly alarmed by our situation in order to get the sense of urgency to make a change. If this sense of urgency that Nigerians have not seen in the past 7 years, he therefore advised rightly that in a recession, government should consider counter-cycle policies which help the economy to lift out of the cycle of despair rather than those cyclical like austerity, which further deepens the people's misery. Again, just last week, the Global Misery Index was released, showing that Nigeria became the 11th most miserable country, down from the 15th position. The Misery Index is an addition of inflation and unemployment, and note that I shall provide a few of this evidence in this article. Pursuit of full employment. Now, when he declared his ambition to run for president on May 4, 2022, the governor, Kayode Fayemi, was asked a question about employment, to which he gave the clinched response that the government's role was not to provide employment, but to provide enabling environment. This is an emotive issue. What is an enabling environment in Nigeria? This enabling environment answer is this kind of stuff that sends everyone in government back to sleep, because it is hard to measure. But if we were to be honest, enabling environment for businesses includes a hard consideration of issues like our internal security issues, energy crisis, human capital crisis, reputational crisis, environmental disasters, and such. I think it's better to unpack these issues and pursue them one by one, rather than dismiss serious issue under a two-word, oft-repeated, sweet-nothing enabling environment. We must understand that we have focused on this enabling environment omnibus for decades now, with little to no result. We must also know that the private sector is not in the business of providing employment, and when politicians are campaigning, they are promising voters that they will directly see to their welfare, not send them to the private sector, which now employs more robots, apps, and computers to go and struggle or die trying. Tinubu is the only candidate I've heard or seen talk or write about the need for government to pursue full employment as a strategy. None of the other people has tried. Peter Obi said the core thing to do is to focus on small and medium enterprise, of course, after Nigeria has been able to cut expenditure on all the nonsense that takes our money. And I agree with him on the latter. But Nigeria has also been pursuing the SME strategy for decades now with negative results. The next grievous scene is the mass mobilization to save Nigeria from collapse. And so when Tinubu spoke about employing 50 million youth to tackle our insecurity problem, because according to him, we need to reduce the source from which terrorists recruit new members, Nigerians mocked him for saying that the agbado corn and cassava that the youth will eat is grown here. Again, Nigerian youth missed the point. There is no way we will solve our insecurity crisis except we mass mobilize our youth to do the job. And so this is an opportunity indeed to solve the unemployment and insecurity crisis in one fell swoop. The proposal demands deep scrutiny rather than mockery. Maybe we should be looking at it like 10 million or 50 million youths taken off the street to solve our existential problem. But I think the man has hit on something critical. Our government must hand over power and ownership of this country back to the youth. The insight and experience of other people are useful at the level of politics, leadership and wisdom, but the operationalized aspect of fixing the nation is a full matter for the youth of Nigerians to tackle. I can even give a back-of-the-envelope calculation of where this employment may come from. We need at least 500,000 teachers if we're to tackle the phenomenon of 13 million children out of school. We need a massive social security system that takes children out of the streets and keeps them in school, and this can take out another 300,000 young Nigerians to the job nationally. We need millions of people taking care of and obsessing about our physical environment and therefore creating a new outlook and reputation for our country through tree, grasses, flower planting and maintenance. We need a national tax team around plastic pollution. We need millions of new workers to boost our police, immigration, to stop the nonsense whereby anybody walks into Nigeria unchecked and it will from anywhere. Civil defense, DSS, and indeed the armed forces and so on. The real impediment to employing these much-needed millions of our youths is that our leaders cannot bring themselves to pay the humongous monies involved in such a critical investment. That is a good and inevitable investment is not in question. We just need to check for ghost workers using technologies. The next grievous sin is physical and naira sovereignty. I asked him about this the last time we saw and told him plainly that it was a dangerous idea on all several fronts. First, it's about the dollarization. From what I've heard so far, the Americans don't play with their currencies. They can tell you to devalue yours, but you try to hurt theirs at your own peril. Tinubu has espoused severally that we do not have to sell crude oil, realize the dollars and change back to naira before paying the salaries of those who do tangible work, especially in the public service. He believes that if we assert the sovereignty of the naira, then we can employ quite a few of those who need to employ to turn around our fortunes. The downside to this is that printing more naira to pay salaries will drive inflation. I think one of the things government do in the interim is to really engage the youth in the production of real things that we need. We do not have to apologize to anyone for this strategy. By being productive beyond the primary product that we are currently stuck with, we can visibly reduce the dependency on foreign products and the constant search for the US dollar. Our currency may do better and inflation may trend down because money will circulate more here in the country. The next grievous sin is moderately protecting the economy. I am praying that we do not have a president in 2023 who will only be interested in foisting the same policies that have crippled us at least since 1986. If that is what we get, the country will be totally ruined in barely a year. They will surely lose control. All of the people who have declared for president so far are for the continuous opening of the economy of all sorts, and they will argue that Dr. Mrs. Iweala is heading up the WTO. Tinubu has specifically mentioned, and severally too, in his colloquy, that there is a need to moderately close the economic of the influx of imports to give Nigeria a breather to organize herself and be able to produce things our people need. He stated clearly that this is what the nations that develop themselves did, and he is very right. So those are part of the 7 grievous sins of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And to all those who have been supporting us since day one, we love you. Continue to support us as the good Lord will continue to bless you. Thank you.